You want me to go to...
We're good.
Go?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is John Michael Grogan with On Point. Would God tell someone to marry a prostitute? It's difficult to believe, but God did tell someone to marry a prostitute. In 746, the 8th century BC, approximately 2,779 years ago, God told Hosea the prophet to marry the whore Gomer and have children by her. Why would God, the purest essence of holiness and love, do such a thing? Hosea is the story about true love, not the sentimental, sappy definitions of love we're so used to hearing about today. Hosea is often seen as the prophet of doom, but underneath his message is a promise of hope, life, truth, and restoration. Hosea is a living parable, a simple story used to illustrate a moral or spiritual lesson. Hosea is believed to be the first prophet to use marriage as a metaphor for the covenant, that is, an agreement between God and his people. He is also among the first writing prophets. Once we grasp the significance of Hosea's story, we will know God more accurately. The neurotic and dreamy distortions about love will be replaced by a compassionate love, not only for those dearest to us, but also for those who are perhaps unlovable. How will we know when this takes place in us? It will be apparent when we begin to feel our concern for others outweighing the concern we have for ourselves. This is what the person who jumps into a churning mass of water to save another human being means, or the fireman who enters a burning building to look for someone needing rescue, the policeman or woman who straps on their firearm and pins on their badge and then steps out into a dangerous world. All who serve in the military is a good example. It is being others-centered rather than being self-centered. This is the key to happiness. My friend Darrell Crouch talks about something called the spiritual metric. It has to do with how well a person loves his enemies, not how well we love those who love us or who are easy to love. Hard to imagine, isn't it? Why was God so angry with the Israelite people? Because no one was faithful. No one knew or cared to know about God. All the cussing and killing, lying and stealing, one murder after another, sheer anarchy. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge, God said, because they don't know what is right or true. Now remember, this happened in 746 BC, 700 years before Christ. The people, he said, are so drunk on sex they can't find their way home. They have replaced the love of God with the love of self and self-satisfaction. This was and is a hard message, but it is truth. This is why the Bible is known as the Book of Life. It is clear and doesn't mince words. It is as relevant today as it was in Hosea's time. It takes the mystery out of the question, why am I here? What's my purpose? Mark Twain said, the two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you figure out why. Our quest is to find the mercy, forgiveness, and unquenchable love of God. When I first read about Hosea, I was stunned. Hosea lived 2,779 years ago. What could this ancient prophet have to say that would be meaningful to us living in 21st century America? Well, as it turns out, he has a great deal to tell us about the times in which we live. In 1887, Alexander Tyler, a history professor at the University of Edinburgh, Scotland, said that a democracy is always temporary, for when the masses discover that they can vote themselves generous gifts from the public treasury, the majority will always vote for the candidate who promises the most benefits from the public treasury. The result is that democracy will finally collapse due to a loose fiscal policy, which Professor Tyler said is always followed by a dictatorship. Listen to the pathway of societies that preceded us. All these societies passed from bondage to spiritual faith, from spiritual faith to great courage, from great courage to liberty, from liberty to abundance, from abundance to selfishness, selfishness to complacency, complacency to apathy or unconcern, unconcern to dependency, and from dependency back again into bondage, all within the short span of 200 years. Our society is now in its 242nd year. The question is, will we be able to continue to beat the statistics? George Santayana, philosopher, essayist, poet, and novelist, said, "Those who do not remember the past are destined to repeat it." Or what Dr. Laurie Resnick, professor of psychiatry at the University of Toronto, writes about in his book, Delusions and the Madness of the Masses. I once overheard a man say to his friend, "Well, you only live once." His friend corrected him. "No," he said, "we die once. We live forever." The human soul, made up of the mind, will, and emotions, never dies. This is why we should make our choices in life and about life most carefully. Eternity never ends. This is John Michael Grogan saying, until we meet again, be strong, be bold, be courageous.